Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. It is a glorious day for gardening. As you can see probably, it's clear blue skies, sun is out, really lovely. But believe it or not, it really feels like the first winter day today because what happened is like a cold wind picking up from the Baltic Sea, and that wind already announced what's going to happen in the coming 3 nights actually. We're expecting our first night frost. So 3 days of night frost, which means I really want to get into the garden, use the entire daytime today and get cracking with some of those projects that are still pressing a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is kind of like the aftermath of my project from yesterday. So for those of you who watched me decorate for Christmas at the main entrance area, you know that there was still a few things sitting in their pots from the Thanksgiving decoration, and those things that would probably overwinter in their pots, but I bought them to really plant them in the landscape, and that's what I want to do because I still think like anything is better than to leave them in their pots. The plants will be more vulnerable to frost and cold temperatures in their pots compared to when they are in the ground, and even though they won't root in the ground, I can just put in there, mulch them in well. I think the plants will be happy and I will be happy and a little more chilled about them as well. Second thing I want to do is then take you back to the main garden here, to the upper garden, and just walk you through some areas and just do a little bit of a tidy up here and there. Just a couple of those things. I still have some patches of iris that I just need to strip off the leaves and make sure that the rhizomes are really sitting idle and on top of the soil and that they are happy going into winter. Just a few couple of things basically, just to tidy up. And the last thing I really need to do today, but I think I'm going to make a separate video out of it, is that I will be lifting my dahlias and canna. So all of those tropical tender plants that do not appreciate frost that much. I could leave them in if it's just like a couple of frosty nights and the temperatures are not that deep. It's like -1, maybe -2 for one night. But I'm just happy if, it's one of those things that need to happen, and the dahlias anyway start looking a little mangy after last night. So I feel it's a good time to just get in there with my garden fork. And anyways, I think I have like 6 or 7 dahlias this year. So it's not like a lot of work. But yeah, I'm just want to make a separate video out of that. And the first thing I'm going to do with you today is like take you to the back of a garden, to the slope, and then we start planting. First thing I want to plant is the acer, and I think this area here on top of a slope will be really nice for it because it has really nice neighbors that have a perfect color match going on, because the acer still has a few leaves on. As you might see, they're a little crisp already, but the stem's really nice, lovely red tone. This is a variety that grows more into a shrub shape, so I think this will be very nice in here. Kind of like this dome shape with a red foliage. And then next to the pink phlox, there's a red pistolta, and then there is sedum, which also has like a pinkish tone. So I think this will be just a perfect color combination. Then I want to plant this aster. This is a variety called Blue Lapis. And if you saw my previous videos, I already planted 2 of those here at the slope, actually, which I'm going to show you in a second again. And then these are all the tools basically that I'm using. So I always have my bucket with some mulch with me to mulch everything in thoroughly. Got some fresh garden compost. Then I have like my organic bone chips as a fertilizer, and then like my bucket, maybe I can just show you this, like whatever I do in the garden, I always have my little enamel bucket with me with all the things I need. So I got my kneeling pad, 2 different kind of shovels. So this is my favorite shovel. This is kind of like one of these bigger ones we can always like scoop a lot of soil in. Then like a smaller one, sometimes needed as well. Then like my little garden fork tool, and then just like scissors and some twine basically. So this is, and some paper, something probably that came off of another plant or something. And then this is actually, if I swing around the area where the bench is standing, and on each side of the bench I already put one of those asters, like the blue lapis variety. So there is one here which looks really brown now. So there is one, and I hope it's going to make a beautiful clump for next year. And if I swing around to the other side, there is a second one. So here you go. There is the second one, and then if I just continue walking, you get to see the dahlias, and you can tell they are looking mangy. There's still flowers on them, but it is really about time to get them out and lift them. And as you see, it's just a couple of them, so this is going to take me maybe an hour. But here is like a layer where I had a lot of annuals this year, and next year I want to mix things up a little bit. And I think I'm going to put like the third aster, the blue lapis, somewhere here, because I had some penstemon offspring, like that I took from seed. Oh, they are there. And then with the new fence that I'm just building here, and then like the aster. So this aster is kind of like dotted throughout the area. So 1 down here, and then 2 on the upper level. And I think this is going to be a really cute, nice look for next year. But first, I just want to go back and start planting the acer. So let's start with planting the acer. I have it standing here next to me, and I wish I could tell you what variety it is. And the irony of it all is there was a label with that, and when somebody did the Thanksgiving decorating, he took the label off and threw it away without taking a photo or a note of it. So yes, that was I. So I have no idea what I'm planting here. It is an acer, but what I plan on doing is like the garden center had a couple of those, so I could just easily go back there and just take a photo of it. So this is what I intend on doing. So moving forward to the future, that at least I know what variety I'm actually planting here. But yeah, stellar moment, typical. But what I did is I already came in with my shovel and dug a hole basically, which is almost like triple the size. Yeah, triple the size of the container. So I can really backfill it with a lot of good fresh soil here to make sure that this acer has a really good home and a lot of fresh soil full of nutrients and everything where it can root in well. So what I do is I just come in there now and put some fresh soil inside. Maybe I'll do it a little faster if I just tip it over. Okay, that goes a lot better, obviously. Lovely. I love fresh soil. It's almost like it smells already good. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the smell of fresh garden compost and fresh soil. We just go like, yes, lovely. That is what it should be like. Okay, so firm it in a little bit already, because the one thing you do not want to have are air pockets as usual. Okay, my mic is in my face, so I think the audio will be a little off. Then I'll just give it a little bit of a starting fertilizer, just a tad. And then what I did when I was digging the hole, I found one of my fritillaria bulbs. So I just put it here at the side a little bit. Back in it goes. So there's a good distance from the acer and the fritillaria actually. But yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And then just take the acer out of its pot. Gently. Okay, this is good. This is always the best thing that can happen if you buy a shrub or anything and you can just lift it out and you see that there are roots, it's rooted in well, it's not pot bound, so the roots are not like crazy wrapped around it, and it doesn't crumble apart. The roots really hold the shape of the pot in very well, so this is perfect. This is always kind of like when you buy shrubs, one of the best things that can happen. And oh, I need to sneeze. Okay, now I don't. It's one of those things when you say, like when you announce like, ooh, nose is running, I need to sneeze, and nothing happens. Firm it in from all the sides, and really I just always go in really with like my hands like this, like a fist, form a little fist, and all the way around it. So make sure that all the air pockets are gone. Just a little more soil on top of it. And always plant it dead level. As I always say, shrubs, I always plant them dead level. I never plant them too deep so they don't sit in the puddle, and I never plant them like above soil level, because that to me makes absolutely no sense. And then the last thing I do, I got my bucket here. So just the mulch. I mean, there was mulch in this area, but since I'm planting really, really late in the season, I want to make sure that this is mulched in the best it possibly can. So to make sure that there's absolutely no frost damage or anything happening. But this is a good protected and sheltered area actually of a garden. I mean, it is at the slope, but there's grass there and it kind of sits here quite sheltered in a way. I think this is going to be very nice and pretty. So please, for a nice start next year, do your best. I would love if you would grow in well here. So let's continue and go to the other side and plant the aster. So now to the aster, I pretty much did the exact same thing as up there with the acer. So I just dug a hole, not triple the size of this pot because this is quite big. And asters generally are quite happy wherever you put them, like at least those varieties that I grow here. But still, I dug a hole, put some fresh soil already in there. So all I do now is come in with the very famous organic bone chips, just like squish them in a little bit, maybe a little more, because asters really like that. Just make sure that the hole in there has a good size. And now's the first time I'm going to get it out of the pot, which is going to be interesting because I haven't lifted it before. So tip it over. It's a nice pot actually. Okay. I think there was some starting fertilizer in there, I guess. I hope that there was starting fertilizer. But I think so. It has good roots though. It has a good root system, fibery, which is quite alright. No, they're looking good. This aster actually looks really good. funny thing is that I grew them in different locations, so I had two obviously up there that were already planted out in the landscape, pretty much, well, a little later I think than I put this one in the pot actually, but still similar-ish timing. And the ones that are planted in the landscape, they look a lot more brown to this one. The one that was growing in the pot is still quite green and looking nice. I'm kind of like, how is that even possible? That the ones that were planted in a actually better location with more sun in the landscape are already a little more brown than the one that is in the pot, or that grew in the pot the entire time. But yeah, let's see. It looks quite good. It has a little bit of mildew, I can tell. It's not powdery mildew, which is good. But still, let's see how this variety is going to perform in the future. I mean, I only bought 3 of them. I can tell you, I'm going to tell you next year how they look, how I like them. As usual, just a little bit of mulch. There was a lot of mulch in here. Yeah, this is nice. I love the look of this, like also in combination with the little fence that I'm doing here. So if I have enough branches and if this entire section will be full of the fence and then like these asters and the penstemon next to it, I think this is just like a really nice look and really speaks country to me. So what we do now is I'll just take you up to the upper garden and just show you first an area that I want to tackle, talk you through a little bit what I'm going to do there, and then just as usual, just put the camera there and you can just watch me doing those things. First area I want to tackle is here in the back of a garden, where I just did like this tour of autumn beauty or autumn interest with you and just talked about this miscanthus, and isn't it still looking really beautiful? Loving it. And the reason why I want to work here first is if I just swing around you get to see how beautiful the weather is, because now I'm swinging to the west. Oh, there's Alfie. The sun is in and it's so nice and warm here because this area of the garden is quite sheltered and protected actually, because there is a hatch here, like there is a hatch, and then you also have the protection from the miscanthus and everything, so it's perfect to just get in here and enjoy the sun. So this is what I'm going to do first, just get in here and oh, there I am, hello. So there are some perennial weeds. I haven't been on top of this for the entire year pretty much, so I'm just going to get in there, just do some quick weeding and just make sure that I get all of those perennial weeds out actually. Not going to do anything with the miscanthus, they stay as they are, but at the base you can tell all these stems that are lying here, so everything that you see basically here, those are daylilies. So I'm going to get in there with my secateurs and just snip them off at the base. Yeah, and just off I go into the compost heap because they're not looking nice or anything. They don't really do anything nice for the winter season. Daylilies are so sturdy, like nothing can destroy them anyways. Here are my cannas, so this is also what I need to lift, and you can tell they were all right this year. They were not performing amazing. Maybe they were too close to the miscanthus. I think that might be the reason. If I just continue walking, like this is a little neglected still. This is an area of the garden where I don't do a lot yet. But yeah, I need to get in here really, just mostly do some weeding and enjoy the sun basically. So this is the first thing I'm gonna do now. So project is done, and I'm sorry if you hear a shrieking sound in the background. Our neighbors have a car shop, and I've been overhearing this for the past 2 hours already, so I'm very happy when they're finished with whatever they are doing there, trust me. But don't you think it looks already 10 times better to how it was looking before? Like the cannas obviously here, they're still in, so I'm going to tackle that in a moment. But I just really went in there, stripped back all of the dead material from the daylilies, like all the dead stems, the leaves, everything is gone, put a thin layer of mulch in there. And I think now the grasses also look a lot better in a way, because they kind of like have this framing around them, which I really like. Then there is some iris, so what I did there basically just like strip back all of those like leaves that already died back, the brown ones and those that were really yellow and mangy and squishy. So just reveal all of the fresh new growth actually at the base that is coming. So if I just show you closer, there you see already a lot of new fresh leaves. I put some mulch around it to protect it, but they're sitting here really like in a sunny location, so they should be very happy. And obviously all of the perennial weeds are gone. So this is nothing that I desperately need to do at this time of the year, but I just like to do it because then they're just gone and I don't need to focus on it next spring. So what we do now is I walk with you to the front of the garden because there's another little area that I want to tackle. So we're next to the driveway, and one thing I want to show you because I think it's so beautiful now also with the evening sun. Look at it. This is a miscanthus. This is called gracilimus, if I pronounce it right. Absolutely glorious. Very delicate leaves compared to all the other miscanthus. I think you can see that they're like really like fibrous, almost very small, beautiful growing habit, not overpowering. It doesn't come to flower here because by the label it's like needs to have a really hot summer to come to flower, which happened once 2 years ago, but I don't grow it for flowers. I really grow it for this growing habit. And when the sun in the evening hits it, it's so glorious, absolutely beautiful color, one of those golden tones, so precious. And then if I swing over to this area, this is what I want to tackle now. So clearly there are some more bearded iris sitting in here. This is a variety called Baltic Sea, and I had to have it because of the name for obvious reasons. It has massive, huge flowers in a very dark, rich purple, very mysterious, beautiful. Then here is some of our native roses that grow by the beach that I took from cuttings. They're white flowering, and I grow them in different areas of the garden. So the fruit starts to get a little mangy. So you can tell they're still looking alright-ish, but I think like after the first harsh frosty nights, they're really gonna go over. And then I come in with my scissors and really trim them back hard. This is what I always do each and every year. They react really well to it. But what I actually want to show you is a shrub that grows here, and that is so beautiful. This is a viburnum. This is a variety called Dawn. I hope the camera can show it now properly. And these are the tiny, very delicate flowers. And as you can see, it's full and full of buds everywhere here. And all of those are going to open now. So this is winter flowering. So that flowers from November up until April. So if the winter isn't too harsh, then it's really going to flower throughout the entire winter. And it has the most incredible and best scent you could possibly imagine. And this is why I put it next to the driveway, because this really fills up the entire area here. Absolutely glorious. But what I'm going to do now first is get in here quickly and just strip back those leaves from the iris, because you can't see a single rhizome anymore. And that is not good, and especially when we're going to have frost tomorrow and everything is going to be wet and soggy and squishy sitting on top of it. That is not what you want to have on bearded iris. That was it. That was a really fast and quick project, but really needed to do that. Those were the last bearded iris that I grow in my garden, and yeah, I completely forgot about them, but it was really important that I just got in there. And I think you can see quite well on how I do it, is I just go in there with my hand and just pull the leaves off. I don't cut anything, and they come off really nice, especially at this time of the year. And you see the rhizomes, they are kind of like half sitting like on top of the soil, half buried, and when you do that, you can check them. They're all nice and firm, nothing is squishy. So they're all very happy and off for a flying start next year. Leaves are looking good. Can't wait for them to come back next year. And next, as you can see, I'm growing Jacob's ladder. So I just cut back some of the the seed heads basically, because they self-seed like crazy everywhere along the entire driveway. I have their offspring, which I really like. And spring comes, I'll come in here and just take them out of the driveway and just put them somewhere in the border properly, because they really have lovely flowers, and I'm really going to show you how they look like comes, I don't know when they flower, maybe May or June, I think May, around that time of the year. So then I'm really going to show you how beautiful they are. You guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you had fun and you enjoyed it. It was pretty much one of those like normal days in my garden videos, but it's just nice to share those moments with you, because it is also about like not always decorating, but it's also about what I do with all of those things in the aftermath, and it's planting and finding the right location for them. And I want to show you how they thrive next year, so fingers crossed that they're going to be for a flying start next year. And also about these maintenance videos, I think it's just really an important thing to do in your garden. You don't really spend a lot of time doing it, but I can guarantee that back of a garden is going to make me so happy, even though it's not really developed, there's not a flower bed or anything. But every single time that I would go to the back of a garden to compost heap, I'm going to see it and I know, oh god, there are no perennial weeds in there anymore. It just looks nice, nice, crisp, clean, tidy. There's a fresh layer of mulch in there, and that makes me very, very happy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to swing to the back of a garden, to the slope, and start working on part 2 of the video, because I still have 1 hour and 20 minutes left of daylight to lift the dahlias and the gladiola that are in there. Don't think that I'm going to tackle the cannas today, but that's all right. So up until then, I'd love to welcome you tomorrow in my garden back again for part 2 of the video. Hope you have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.